Before I start, I want everyone to think of a question. What makes you stand out from the crowd? What is it that makes you different to everyone else? At the age of 8, I started by repairing computers. At 13, I, s- I started my own business. And at the age of 15, I was skiving school not just to go out and mess around with my friends, but actually to networking events. And that kind of made me a little bit different and made me stand out from the crowd. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So that's a question to leave in your head whilst I'm speaking. But what it is, we currently live in a society where you're judged by everything you do, from the clothes you wear, the way you interact, and what you study. So it's easier for us to follow the norm or follow what the crowd, and instead of being ourselves, not being individualistic. So what I want you to think is that it is difficult to be different, but we've got to be able to go out of our comfort zone and be different. And this is probably the only way that you as an individual or just or you as a business would be successful. So if you're just thinking about doing what everyone else is doing, so if you're copying everyone else, it doesn't really help you in any way. Be unique. No, where am I? Be unique, do something different, and do something that you enjoy, even if it's out of the norm. I know people who currently study certain subjects because it's what society thinks is, it's prestigious, so they decide, you know what, we'll do that just to look good. And that doesn't really help them because they'll have to go into a job or go into that industry for the rest of their lives. And when they get a job in that industry, they won't really enjoy what they do. They won't be happy with it. So if you don't do something, if you sincerely do something that you don't want to do for the rest of your life, you won't gain anything from it. It'll just be a way of making ends meet. I properly began my entrepreneurial journey at the age of 13, like I said, by starting my first business, which is a computer repairs business. And when somebody asked me what I wanted to be in a few years, I used to say, I don't know. And this was a way for me to hide the real answer, which is run a business. The reason I hid that answer was because I remember saying it to somebody once, and they said, why the hell do you want to go into business? Why go through high school and college and then run a business? And I honestly didn't know why. I hadn't even heard of the word entrepreneurship at the time. So the years following, I decided to go out and run what were merely businesses. They weren't successful, but they were, in some sense, a business to me. And following on from that, at the age of 15, I went to my first ever networking event. And this was my first ever real glimpse of other people in business. So just imagine I was this 15-year-old kid, probably wearing a wedding suit which barely fitted, in a room filled with people who were 2 or 3 times the age of me. But in that room, I saw people from different positions in life, different backgrounds, and different personalities, all treating this kid with respect and as if I was one of them and not someone who was below them. And from that day on, I realized one of the reasons why I wanted to go into business was I get to go to events like this. I get to meet new people, new extraordinary people who want to change the way that the industry that they work in, or change the way we live today. And they even made me get up and do my first ever elevator pitch. And to me, when I did that, I felt this sense of proudness because I was doing something which was individualistic to myself rather than following what everybody else my age was doing. And and that was mainly because I was going out my comfort zone and doing things like meeting people who I wouldn't normally meet at the age of 15. And from that day on, I actually kept a spare suit in school just so I can skive a few lessons and go to more networking events. I'm not going to lie, I did use that to my advantage and skive a few lessons just because I didn't want to go in. But on a serious note, it was that time I realized I didn't want to work for anybody else. I knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be for the rest of my life. And that's what you've got to ask yourself. What is it that I want to do for the rest of my life? Or what makes me different to everyone else? it's about being individualistic and not following the crowd. Do what you want and do what's different. Even don't go and do things because, you know, it looks good, or it just, if somebody's going to clap you because, oh, it makes you look really good, and it's not because it's something that you enjoy. I'm not going to stand here and lie and say, you know, me being an entrepreneur has been all plain sailing. I've had challenges, I've had difficulties, and I've had to overcome them. And the reason I've had to overcome them was that I realized that these challenges had two outcomes. One was an opportunity. The other was a lesson. Now, let me tell you a story. At 17, I was this award-winning, successful young entrepreneur with so many awards behind me, so many press interests behind me, and all these nominations. And I was quite naive to think, you know, nothing could go wrong. Everything was perfect. I was at the peak of my journey at the time. But that's when the plot twist came. Everything went wrong. The same people who portrayed me to be this award-winning, successful young entrepreneur were the same people who took it all away from me and threw me to my lowest point of my journey. And to me, that was a surprise, because I thought the business world shared the same values and ethics as I hold. But I was proven wrong, and a lesson was learned. And I later managed to rebuild my self-confidence. I managed to reshift my focus on myself and my business, rather than chasing, you know, this glam of all these awards of the press. And what that actually led to was my business actually doing well, rather than it seeming to be doing well. And I got the opportunity to actually remember and reshift my focus to why I started, which was because I wanted that self-satisfaction in something that I enjoyed, and also that I wanted to run an award-winning creative agency. Now going back to how it changed for me. How did it change for me initially, before I got all these awards? It was a tweet. It was a single tweet that changed everything for me. And this tweet led to other things. I managed to meet someone who was an ex-Peter Jones Enterprise Academy graduate, which told me about the Peter Jones Enterprise Academy, and I managed to later rejoin. The Peter Jones Enterprise Academy is an academy set up by the BBC's Dragon's Den star Peter Jones. I attended there for 2 years, and I managed to learn how to build myself as an individual, as an entrepreneur, and also develop my goals and develop my business. But there's been all these opportunities, and what I'm trying to say from here is that every single opportunity we've got to take, even if it's small. In my case, it was just a single tweet. She wasn't here, Claire Young wasn't here to see me. She was here to see somebody else, but I went and managed to go and see her, and just this single tweet managed to change everything for me. So seize every opportunity, because how would you feel if you turned down the opportunity which could have changed your life? So now going back to opportunities. So we as humans, we do two things. We see an opportunity as either being very challenging or it's not worth our time. What we do is when we see the challenging opportunities, we think, you know what, it's not worth our time because it's going to give us a lot of headache. So we try to avoid it. We try and not go on that way. For example, I have difficult clients, difficult projects, but from what I've learned, that these clients or the projects that have been really difficult, or the ones that we've perceived to be difficult, have been the ones that have actually kept us going as a business. They've been the ones that we've made a lot of money on, the ones that we've been able to help businesses go from someone who's just a single person running a business to a team which is now international. But then on the other hand, we also turn down opportunities which are not worth our time, because we think, well, what are we going to gain from it? What's it going to benefit us? But that's where we all go wrong. It's any opportunity is an opportunity. Don't put one away because it's too challenging, or don't put another one onto the side because you think it's not worth your time. An opportunity is an opportunity. So back to the tweet. I wouldn't be stood here if it wasn't for that tweet. I wouldn't have so many awards if it wasn't for that tweet. And I wouldn't have, my business wouldn't have been as where it is today if it wasn't for that tweet. So now, going back to success, and the quote here is, how much wealth would you have if you had nothing? Now, what I'm trying to talk about here is, what we do is we see, not us, but the crowd or the people around us think that success is judged by the materialistic things you own. So the car you drive, or the house you live in, or the bank balance. So we all perceive to be try and go into business, or we try and be entrepreneurs because we want to be rich, or we want to have a load of money. But what I'm trying to say is that's not the way to go. From what I've learned, being an entrepreneur or going into business because you think you're going to be a rich or have a load of money, that's probably not going to be the case if you go in with that mindset. You've got to be able to go in for the right reasons, go and make a difference, and start something to make a difference to society, the people around you, and not make it don't make the reasons for you to start something to be because you want to be rich or you want to make a load of money, because that's probably not going to be the case. Do it for the right reasons. Now, an example, sorry, I've lost where I am. So do everything for the right reasons, and don't do it because you want to go and make a load of money out of it. With me being an entrepreneur, I've had things where, you know, like I said, projects which have a load of money, and then projects which have made us not that much money. But those ones that have, so it's the same scenario with the ones that haven't made us that much money. Those have been the clients who have actually gave us a lot more work at the end, rather than the ones who we think are going to be quite a lot. So make the things that you do for the right reasons, and don't do it because you want to be rich. So what I leave for you today is, how much wealth would you have if you had nothing? Thank you very much.